It was a cold, misty evening in Manhattan, and the city lights shimmered like diamonds in the drizzle. At the top of a luxurious skyscraper sat the Azure, one of the city's most exclusive restaurants. It was the kind of place where plates were garnished more than they were filled, and reservations were booked months in advance. Inside, surrounded by the quiet hum of classical music and clinking glasses, sat Marcus Bellamy, a name you'd recognize from every financial magazine cover in the last decade. A billionaire by 35, tech tycoon, investor, and a man whose time was valued in seconds. Marcus wasn't here for company. He never was. He dined alone, his eyes glued more to numbers on his phone than to the skyline view he paid for. Life had become one long transaction: meetings, markets, mergers. Emotions were liabilities. Efficiency was king. But that night, something interrupted him. A movement. Just beyond the tall glass walls. He looked up and saw her. A small figure standing outside the restaurant, maybe 8 years old, soaked from the rain. Her coat was torn. Her bare feet clung to the cold pavement. She wasn't begging for money. She wasn't even making a sound. She just stood there, staring through the glass, but not at him. She was watching a waiter clear a half-eaten steak from a table beside his. Marcus followed her gaze. The plate, rich with untouched cuts of filet mignon and truffle mashed potatoes, vanished through the kitchen doors toward the back of the building. Then she moved. The girl darted across the street, disappeared into the alley next to the restaurant. Something tugged at Marcus, something he hadn't felt in years. Curiosity. Guilt. Humanity. He stood up abruptly, knocking over his wine. The server rushed over. Marcus waved him off. "I need some air," he said. But he didn't take the elevator. He went out the side door, down the stairs, and around to the back of the restaurant. The alley smelled like old grease and rain-soaked garbage. A flickering light buzzed above the back entrance. He hesitated, wondering what on earth he was doing there, when he heard it, a soft giggle. He turned the corner and stopped dead in his tracks. There she was. The little girl, crouched under a cardboard canopy. Beside her sat a younger boy, wrapped in a thin, filthy blanket. His face lit up as she broke off a piece of meat and handed it to him. She wasn't eating. She had begged for the leftover not for herself, but for him. Marcus felt something crack in his chest. All the deals, all the acquisitions, all the power, and this girl, who had nothing, had just shown him what real love looked like. He stepped closer. The girl saw him and jumped to her feet, shielding her brother. "Please don't call anyone," she shouted. "We're not hurting anyone. We're just hungry." "I'm not calling the cops," Marcus said softly. I just want to talk." The girl didn't move. "What's your name?" he asked. "Ellie," she replied. "And this is my little brother, Milo." He knelt down slowly. "Where are your parents?" Her eyes darkened. "Mom died last winter," she said. "Dad disappeared. We've been on our own since. The shelters always separate us. I promised Milo I wouldn't let that happen again." Marcus felt the air leave his lungs. "I know what it's like to lose family," he said, the words catching him off guard. He hadn't spoken about his younger brother, who died in foster care decades ago, not since he was a teenager. He pulled out his phone. "No." Ellie cried. "Please don't. They'll take him away." He paused. Then slowly put the phone away. "Okay," he said. "No shelters. Not tonight." That night, Marcus checked them into a nearby hotel. He got them clean clothes, ordered room service, and stayed to make sure Milo got enough to eat. Ellie didn't touch her food until her brother was full. Marcus sat across from them in silence, watching. Absorbing. When he returned to his penthouse that night, it felt colder than usual. Emptier. Lonelier. He couldn't sleep. So he didn't. He spent the night researching child homelessness, sibling separation in foster systems, and emergency guardianship laws. The next morning, he made a decision. He called in his legal team. Not for a merger, but to fight for custody. And to create a new initiative, the Ellie Project, an organization committed to keeping homeless siblings together, providing shelter, education, and long-term support. The press couldn't believe it. Marcus Bellamy, the man who had once said emotions had no place in business, was now championing child welfare. But Marcus didn't care. For the first time in years, he felt awake. Alive. Over the next 2 years, Ellie and Milo flourished. She enrolled in school, skipped a grade, and joined the science club. Milo became obsessed with space. Marcus often came home to find paper rockets taped all over his office walls. And slowly, without realizing it, they became a family. One night, as Marcus tucked Milo in, the boy looked up at him sleepily and asked, "Are you my forever dad now?" Marcus couldn't speak. He just nodded and hugged him tighter. Sometimes, life teaches us through boardrooms and bank accounts. But the deepest lessons, the ones that reshape your soul, come from the streets, the alleys, the overlooked corners of the world. Ellie didn't just ask for food. She gave Marcus a reason to feel again. Because it's not what we give that defines us, it's why we give, and who we become because of it. And in a world that often looks away, sometimes, one look back can change everything.